welcome to Hashtag Toe to Toe. My name is Leanne Johnson-Arneson and I am joined as always by Spencer Fearon and the man who faces Martin Murray on April 22nd in a guaranteed tear-up, Gabriel Rosado.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So this is your first time, is it, fighting out of America?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you feeling? Do you think you'll cope with the crowds and the atmosphere of Liverpool?
No, I'm excited about it. You know, right now the UK has a big buzz in boxing, and it was always a goal of mine to have a fight in the UK. So I think right now it's like perfect timing.
So we have a few tweets that we need to get through.
Yeah.
First off, we've got Norman Barton at NC Barton. Gabriel, growing up in the great fight city of Philadelphia, who were your boxing heroes and did you model your style on anyone?
Yeah, in Philadelphia I looked up to guys like Meldrick Taylor, terrific fighter, extremely fast. Bernard, definitely great fighter. And definitely Bernard Hopkins. I actually had, you know, been blessed to do like 9 training camps with Bernard Hopkins. So, you know, he's definitely one of the old school greats of Philadelphia.
What fights were you helping Bernard Hopkins in?
Well, the first time he called me up for camp was against Joe Saunders.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually switched southpaw on him.
Okay.
So it was, so that's how I learned how to box southpaw. Was
2008, that fight.
Yeah. Yep, and I worked with him all the way up to Kelly Pavlik, and then I actually helped him out in his last fight. I sparred him in LA for his last fight.
Okay, for Smith.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Alex McFadden at Alex McFadden 180 has asked, how do you see the fight going against you and Martin?
You know, it's one of those fights where it's a must-win for both fighters. You know, it's kind of like my last run to the world title. You know, I definitely want to accomplish that. So, you know, I'm going into this fight extremely confident. You know, it's one of the reasons why I came to the UK 2 weeks early, just to get adapt to the time. Yeah, exactly. So I'm taking the fight extremely serious. You know, back with my trainer Billy Briscoe, who started me from the ground up. Went back to my roots. Went back to Philadelphia to do my training camp. So, you know, I feel extremely confident going into this fight, and I think I'm going to bring back my boxing ability, and I think at this point in my career, I can utilize my experience as well.
So you've been training at the Peacock Gym?
Yeah.
How's that been?
No, it's good. It's a great gym. They treat me good over there. I'm working with Anthony Yarde. He's a great prospect coming up.
Very good. He's been on the show. He's very good guy.
Really good, talented fighter. I sparred with him 3 years ago, so he's a lot better now. He's bigger too, but it's great work. So, you know, just getting into the mix of things out here and just adjusting to the time.
Great. Alex McFadden again has asked, do you think Joe Saunders can beat Gennady Golovkin?
Billy who?
Oh.
You know.
Oh, careful now. No, you're a nigga now.
No, you know, I laugh about it because, you know, Billy just makes me laugh. I watch him on YouTube and it's pretty funny. But no, you know, listen, boxing is like it's a sport of anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. Like Buster Douglas, who would have known, right? And the list goes on. I remember when Pacquiao beat Barrera, it was like, who's this Filipino guy? You know, it came out of so anything can happen. But you know, definitely think Triple G's the better fighter.
Okay. Thomas Leons has asked, out of all the middleweights in the world at the moment, who gives Golovkin his best test?
I gave him a pretty good run. You know, we fought back in 2012, so it was a while back. You know, he's a good fighter. You know, but I think probably me and Martin gave him a pretty good fight. But you know, Jacobs did really good. I forgot about Jacobs. Jacobs did really good. I thought Golovkin pulled off the win slightly by 1 or 2 points, but Jacobs gave him a good run.
Spencer, what do you think?
I'd like to see the Danny Jacobs return for the simple fact that everyone's building Golovkin as this monster, which he is, because the guy can punch, right? But I thought Danny Jacobs acquitted himself really well, and I thought it was a really, really close fight. And if it went either way and Danny Jacobs got the decision, then I wouldn't have argued either way, because I thought maybe he did nick it, but I could see why they gave it to Golovkin, because he was seemingly aggressing. But
yeah, I saw him aggressive
Yeah.
with the jab. The
Yeah.
jab was really effective.
Trust me, he had a really, really good. And not only that, but he was offsetting Golovkin with the time, and he was countering him with very, very good shots. But I think the difference was here. I think a lot of this is to do with body language, where like at the end of the rounds, when the rounds were finished, he was like, "Whoa, I survived the round." Instead of like, "Let me just go back and do my business." So I think that also played influence on the judges.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? I think
it was kind of like hyping himself up, like he couldn't believe he made it past the round.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now we know. But we do know. You know firsthand, Golovkin can punch.
Yeah.
Right. So if Golovkin doesn't knock out someone, we think, now he's lost the round. But if you're a real Golovkin fan, because he can punch, you think, he's won the round anyway because he landed 2 shots. But you know, boxing is very, very subjective. But I would say, right now, the guy to give him trouble, I really do believe, and you think, right, I think Billy Joe Saunders will give him a lot of trouble because he's a southpaw, he's tricky, and I think Golovkin will put the fear of God in him. And if he's got that in him, then he could cause him a lot of problems.
Well, you got a lot of it has to do with the media. The media makes him out to be a monster, but you know,
what was his punching power like?
It's good, but you know, I fought a lot of big punchers, and the thing is that once the weight class goes from middleweight on up, anyone could pretty much punch.
Right.
You know, anyone could pretty much punch when it's middleweight and up, because you know, middleweights we come in the ring at 170, 175.
Yeah.
We're big guys. So, you know, but a lot of it is the media. So whenever you see Triple G not dominating a round, everyone's like, what's going on? Because the media puts him out to be this, you know, this monster. Yeah. But he's human just like everyone else.
Okay.
Tommy Ellison has asked, Canelo v Triple G, who wins?
Canelo and Triple G?
Yeah.
You know, I slightly give the edge to Canelo. Slightly. But it's all going to determine on how he looks against a guy that's bigger than him. I'm curious to see how.
Fight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he's going to do. Because you know, we can't disrespect Chavez and just look past Chavez. You know, Chavez looks hungry. He looks hungry. He looks determined. So, but if Canelo looks good against that guy who's bigger than Triple G, then I think, you know, he definitely has a big shot at beating Triple G.
What do you think, Spencer?
After looking at Triple G's last 2 performances in the Kell Brook fight and also in the Danny Jacobs fight, I would give Canelo the edge in the fight simply because he's very, very schooled. And if you see what he does a lot of like American style fights. Like he does a lot of shoulder, but he's got a very, very good jab, and if he can administer that jab, I would give him the edge. But with someone like the punching power of Golovkin, you can never really 100% say, right, I'm going for you. But because of experience, and if you look at Canelo's record, in his resume, he's been with the better opponents, right? Even though they've actually been down at lower division, but he's been in with the better guys. So I would give Canelo the edge.
Yeah, and another reason we know that Triple G, he gets hit a lot more than Canelo. Canelo's more slick, more better on the defensive side of things. I think if Canelo's letting go combinations, it's gonna affect Triple G, you know, because he does get hit.
Tommy Ellison, Steve Parsons, is Indongo a threat to Burns on Saturday? He reminds me of Bradis Prescott before he fought Amir Khan. Spencer, do you want to take this one?
Yes, I don't know if you've seen this guy Indongo, who is the IBF super lightweight champion.
Okay.
Facing Scotland's Ricky Burns.
Right, Ricky Burns is our boy. Ricky Burns is a freeweight world champion he's gone up right throughout the divisions. Ricky Burns is very, very good from super featherweight all the way up to super lightweight. So it is a hard fight. Indongo can punch. If you saw, was it the Troya fight where he won the world title? He just sprang out. Yeah, Trinovsky. He just threw out this looping left hand, boom, knocks him completely out. But Ricky Burns is being tried and tested, and this guy coming from Namibia, he hasn't fought anybody really good in the class of a Ricky Burns. It's a tough fight for Ricky Burns, but I still believe that Ricky Burns could push it and come out victorious because he's got the greater experience in it. I reckon he'll know how to deal with this, but it is a tricky fight because Indongo can punch.
Jordan Harrison at Shanbros 3233. Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, who is more worthy of the greatest of all time title?
Well, who would you say?
That's tough because that's two different eras. But you know, Joe Louis is an American hero. You know,
incredible American.
He's an
hero.
American hero. the most title defenses as a heavyweight.
25.
Yeah. And then Muhammad Ali, I think he's probably the most famous man in the world. I think everyone knows Muhammad Ali and the things he's done in the world, you know, so it's difficult.
So which one?
Oh man, that's hard. I have to go with my favorite, Muhammad Ali, but that's really tough because Joe Louis was great.
Well, break it down really quickly for you guys. As you know, I'll rant forever about history, but I'm saying 1937 when Joe Louis wins the heavyweight world champion heavyweight championship by beating James J. Braddock, that Joe Louis was a monster. He was a monster. He was dangerous, he was fast, he sit down on his shots, and at that time he was actually a big heavyweight because he was weighing like close enough to 200 pounds, so he was a big guy. If you look at Muhammad Ali, 1964, when he beat Sonny Liston, he was still a baby, right?
So which one?
But in greatness, then I'm gonna say Ali for what he not only what he did in a boxing ring, but what he did outside of the boxing ring. Yeah. Ali's the greatest guy, and not only that, but if you look at all the defenses that Joe Louis made, he never beat anyone where he was going in as the underdog, right? Ali beat two major guys where he was the underdog. Yeah. The Sonny Liston fight, and then in 1974 when he beats George Foreman. That's incredible. That's it. So Ali's the greatest.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's it for now.
I'm glad you agree with me. Sorry
Spencer's in his element, he can't stop. Okay, that's it for now. Join us next week for more #Toe to Toe, or tune in on iTunes for the podcast.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live on all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.